I'm here with Eric from Ruby Moto lights. These are some of the best lights on the market. Real quick, why did you end up starting Ruby Moto?
It's a great question. Ruby Moto was born out of a need and seeing an opportunity for better lights at a significantly better value than was being offered by some of the top brands out there. After trying them out, I understood what really good lighting looked like, and I thought there's got to be a better way to make a higher value proposition for consumers, which is something I'm very conscious of. So there's about 2 years of R&D to get it all figured out. It's just an engineering problem that can be solved, and here we are.
Here we are. All right, so for everybody who's new out there to ADV riding, I still don't actually know like proper positioning of your lights, why you should have amber versus just white light. So can you talk us through a couple of those things? Like
Sure.
What is the positioning and the different size lights?
Well, there's a lot of misunderstandings in the industry about people will say, I don't want to buy an extra set of lights for my off-road bike, I'm just going to get a helmet light. The problem is your primary light, meaning the brightest light that you have in your field of view, is mounted to your head. You lose all depth perception because as the light is shining near your plane of sight, the shadow will be hiding behind the thing that you're looking at. So if you've ever been riding at dusk or just before sunset, I guess rather, and the angle of the sun is such that you can't see the shadows, that's what having a really bright helmet light is like. The ideal positioning is between the top half of your tire and just below your handlebars for your lights. If you go down low on a rotor bolt or on your front fender bolt, the problem with that is the shadows become super long. So you could have something that's a 4-inch rock that's going to cast a 6-foot shadow if the light is too low. So the ideal place, the Goldilocks zone, really is below your handlebars, above your tire, is kind of the ideal amount of shadow that you'll cast. Give you the best depth perception, best visibility on the road, and not kill your ability to make sense of what's going on in the terrain in front of you.
That
so
makes sense.
Critically important for off-road, a little less important for on-road, but off-road, you've got to have them in the right spot.
Cool. And what about as far as like the size of the lights? Where does that come into play?
Size of the lights with modern technology and the way that we have designed our optical array and the way that we've tuned our lights, you can get all the output you need out of our smallest lights or our biggest lights. Bigger lights will equal more light. That's really convenient if you're riding out in the desert. But if you're only riding single track in heavily wooded areas, you'd probably be just fine with our R4 set. There is some added conspicuity being being conspicuous on the road or being able to be seen more easily when you go with a larger diameter light. That is something that is helpful as well.
So the bigger the light, the more other people can see you?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. A lot of folks in the industry are designing their lights around the size is based on dealing with heat, right?
Right.
And so they have to have an enormous housing to deal with the amount of heat that's being generated by the LEDs. Even though LEDs are much cooler than halogen or HID or other types of lighting
still
systems,
give off heat.
It still kicks out a fair amount of heat. And so that's one thing that we do really great is with our billet housings, we can have a much smaller, more compact size that punches far above its weight in terms of performance because we can handle the heat with our billet housing versus what everybody else has used, which is cast. So size of lighting, you should always consider the aesthetics of your bike, right? You don't want to put some enormous lights, maybe you do on a small bike. That's your thing, then great, go for it. But figure out the size that works well for you, think about the type of riding you're doing, but know that regardless of whatever size of light you go with, our beam pattern is such that you'll have a very enjoyable ride at night when you're trying to use them.
Cool, and then amber versus the white light.
Sure, amber, there's a couple things going on with amber lenses. Amber, this is actually more of a yellow tint.
And also has a nice bug coating.
Yeah, nice bug coating.
But it's an amber tint.
Yeah, it's amber, more of a yellow tint. We could talk for an hour about why yellow versus amber. But any color other than white will pick up oncoming motorists' attention a lot more than white light. So that's important for when you're riding on the road and you want people to be able to see you. Yellow will make you more conspicuous on the road. The other thing that you want to use yellow for is anytime there's any sort of particulate in the air. So you're riding on the trails at dusk or at night and you're not out in lead, there's going to be a significant amount of dust in the air. The yellow light does not reflect back at you as harshly as the white light does. So you're able to see farther because you're not getting as much bounce back. Whether it's dust, rain, fog, smoke, snow, whatever it might be, you can see farther because you're not getting as much glare back.
That's cool.
All right, and so that's another virtue
So wait,
of
if
the
I
yellow
have
light.
these,
Yep.
when should I put this on and when should I take it off?
User preference, right? That's a very subjective thing.
Sure.
I personally ride with mine on all of the time, unless I am riding in a non-dusty environment at night for a long time.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to get somewhere and it's hot during the day, I'm going to ride at night.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be riding for several hours at night, I'll just reach down, pull these off, throw them in my pocket, and have really nice white light, because there's something that's kind of comforting when the colors are rendered to what you're accustomed to.
Yeah, okay.
Right? It's a little bit easier again on your brain.
Sure.
But if there's anything in the air at all,
yeah,
these are going back on.
Right back on.
But during the daytime, all the time during the daytime. And again, that's for oncoming motorists to be able to see you a lot better.
I'm super pumped because I got, what are these ones, the R7s?
R7s.
Sweet, so I got some R7s on the Warthog bike. I was running Denali's before, and I can tell you the wiring situation with those lights was kind of a nightmare. There was a lot of cable that got stuck down inside with the battery. There was a couple little controller units that were down there, and this setup is so much more clean when it comes to that. And then on top of that, I can't believe how rigid these things are actually mounted to the bike. So tell me what we did here today.
Sure.
As far as putting these on.
On the Pan Am, we make it really easy. We have a set of 22 millimeter bar clamps. They go directly onto the factory crash bars here. They make it really easy to install your lights, have them tucked out of the way. And then from there, we run our wiring up together in front of the radiator, and then you don't even have to take your tank off if you don't want. It'll be a little cleaner if you pull your tank, but if you don't want to do that, you can zip tie it up underneath on the frame rail right here. From there, we go to the back of the bike, or you can plug in a Hex EasyCAN controller. We run the battery cables on the same routing down into the battery, which is in front below the radiator as well. And then everything is plug and play. It sits up underneath here in your seat, plugging into your diagnostic port. So in terms of installation, it's an easy install to do at your home shop. Any shop is capable of doing it as well if you're not comfortable doing that yourself or you don't want to spend the time doing it. But yeah, we try to make it as easy as possible. Hex EasyCAN has been very helpful with that as well. And,
yeah, tell us a little bit about that. What does that give you the ability to do?
Sure, well the Hex EasyCAN runs on what's called the CAN bus system. Simply put, the CAN bus, which is in most modern vehicles, is the motorcycle or car's computer system. It's sending out electrical signals throughout the bike, and what the CAN bus controller is doing is listening to what the bike is saying. So when the bike says, your factory high beams are on, in that condition, it is going to tell the lights to do something, right? And so the way that we have them programmed is during the daytime, when you're on low beam, we set that low beam output to 60%. And when your bike is on OEM high beam, with your OEM switch rather, they'll go to 100%. Once it becomes nighttime, your bike knows it's nighttime, it will dim it down on the low beam down to 10%.
This bike doesn't know it's nighttime.
Pan Ams don't know this is nighttime.
Unfortunately, the Pan Am doesn't have a sensor to tell you, to dim the screen. So that part it doesn't have.
No functionality there. Regardless, you can still get muscle memory. When you want more light, you turn on your high beams.
Right.
And your bike's light output will change with the high beam function. The other thing it has going on is you can horn to strobe. So when you hit your horn, your lights will strobe.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear your horn on the freeway.
Right.
People will see your lights strobing as well. There's some other added functionality with alternating with your hazard lights. When you turn on your left blinker, your left light will turn off. Right blinker, right light will turn off. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe we have the triple tap to pass function.
Okay.
Which is one of my favorite things, where when you triple tap your high beam, your lights will do a 3-burst strobe, which is very effective for getting people's attention. Whether you're off-road, on the track, wherever you might be riding, it's a very effective way to get people's attention.
That's cool, okay. And how much of that can you get in and manually change?
All of it. All of those parameters are adjustable with the free software that comes from Hex EasyCAN. They have instructional videos online that walk you through that process as well. And it's just a really simple USB connection from your laptop into this little control module here.
Cool.
The other great thing is that there's 4 output circuits.
Yep.
We use 2 of those for your lights, That leaves 2 extra here that you could use for heated gear, powering your GPS, you know, charging a laptop, whatever you want.
That's cool.
So,
all right, well, one last question. You said that this is a diagnostic port. So if the dealer is getting, does that affect anything?
nope. The dealer, the only reason this needs to be plugged in is when you're going to use it. So if you took it to a dealership and they wanted to run anything off the diagnostic port, they would just unplug it and still have access to everything.
Normally that's just sitting there doing
Correct.
nothing
Yep.
when you're riding, right?
But it doesn't change anything on the bike's computer. It's only listening. It's not putting out any signal back into the bike.
Sweet.
Yep.
It's kind of loud here because we're at the Dusty Lizard, the Moscow Moto, and
Party's about to kick off.
party's about to kick off.
Wrap it
But
up.
dude, I'm ready to kick off the party with my new lights. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very
These
welcome.
are super cool, and can't wait to get out on the trail with them. So if somebody wants to look into these lights,
Yeah.
how can they find out more about this?
RubyMoto.com, that's the place to go. You can check us out on socials as well, but we're a direct-to-consumer business. We have a couple of trusted retailers that retail our products, but the best place to go is RubyMoto.com. We have inventory, and we will ship you quickly.
Sweet.
So,
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
dude.
enjoy. We'll see you out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.